You know, getting old. It's not so bad. As Chevalier said, old age doesn't seem so bad when you consider the alternative. But the older I get, the more I think about the arrogance of youth. I've discussed that with you before. Many of you are young, and many of you are almost as arrogant as I. That's how it always gets me crazy when you get upset about how arrogant I am, and then I look at you, and you're even more arrogant than I am, and you're dumber than I am, and you're more arrogant about that. Well, the reason that I mention it is there's a group of young men and one not so old man, a not so young man, who have formed a comic company called Image Comics. Now, the people in this group, there's 6 of them, I believe. Actually, there's 7, Ellison. And each one is the boss. There's Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and Eric Larson and Mark Silvestri and a few others. And Jim Valentino is the old guy of the bunch. I think he's, gee, I don't know, maybe he's in his 40s. The others, I think, have all just reached puberty. And they're making millions and millions of dollars. I think that it's very fine that they're doing this, because in the history of comic books, the major companies always ripped off the artists, always kept them poor, killed them with deadlines. They didn't own their own properties. All they were beanfield hands. So here are these guys who've taken the bull by the horns, to coin a brand new phrase, and they're making themselves a terrific big living. The only problem with it is they really don't know squat. They're dumb. In all the gin joints in all the world, a sour apple like you had to walk in, Ellison. What are you ashamed of yourself? Just because you never got to be a rock star like Rob Liefeld? I saw Rob Liefeld in the lobby at the San Diego Comic Con. Didn't you see him? He had a lot of pretty young girls following him. He had a brush cut. He was wearing those jeans that he did the ad. He made millions on the jeans. He's working for Spielberg now. What's the matter with you? Sour grapes? But they're so arrogant because they're making so much money, they don't care. They go ahead and they act in the way that children act without being responsible. For instance, there's a guy named, was it Todd McFarlane who did it, or Jim Lee? I think it was Todd McFarlane. He had all the pages of one of the comics that he does. This is a comic called Spawn, quite a good comic in terms of visuals. And he laid them all out, and he invited some people into his studio, and he said, look, and he shuffled them. He said, look, you can shuffle them any way you want, and they still make sense. Yeah, they still make sense if they didn't make sense to begin with. Come on, Ellison, be real. William Burroughs did the same thing. Took a novel, threw it up in the air, reformed it. It's art. Art, Ellison. And that's the problem. These guys are pretty good artists, but they're awful storytellers. And they're too arrogant to know that. They just don't know any better. They're just young, and they don't care. Money can only take you so far. Well, I don't know. They're making so much money. What are you, sour grapes, Ellison? You don't like how much money they're making? You want them to stay beanfield hands? And when the vogue passes, then you got to have something to back it up. And if you're dumb as ditch water to begin with, you wind up dumb at the end, too, but broke.